Hi, welcome to our kitchen island. Today we are making a risotto. You like risotto, Benny?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're putting tomatoes, prosciutto, chicken, mushrooms all in the risotto, and we're going to get started by getting our onions and garlic cooked down on the stove. So we've got a small saucepan here. We're going to turn it on to a medium heat. We're going to put our butter in, put about 4 tablespoons of butter. We're going to put our onions in. We've got about 1 large onion here. And we're going to put about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic in, depending on the size and depending on how much garlic you like. We're just going to let those cook down over the stove for about 45 minutes in the butter. We're going to turn it down to a low heat, and we're going to let the butter simmer. We're going to let the mixture simmer, and then we're going to add that to the risotto at the end so we don't have any pieces of onion or garlic in the actual risotto. Alright, so we've got our butter and onions and garlic just simmering away here, cooking nicely. We got some butter melted at the back. We're just going to get some mushrooms in there, let those cook down. I like mushrooms separately, because I find they maintain more flavor and kind of get lost in it. Put a little salt, put a little pepper on them, and we're not going to do much more to them. We're just going to let them cook back there and get a lot of the water out there and get all nice. We got those back there. Toss that guy back in. We've got some chicken stock on the back here, just heated up for when we add to the risotto, and we're going to get going over here. Just going to start with extra virgin olive oil. We've got lots of butter in this meal, so we can start it off with extra virgin here. Get that started in a hot pan. We're going to add our chicken in. With a spoon here. Get that stirred up. I like to start the chicken in a nice pan, because that way it browns off and it maintains, locks in some of the juice. We've got about the chicken off of it. We've got enough meat off of whole chicken here. We've got dark and light meat. You can use as much as you want. Probably about a pound and a half of chicken in total. I like to serve my risotto as a full meal, so I like to get enough proteins in there as well as just rice. We'll get that in there, get a little salt on there. Get about a tablespoon of paprika in there. Toss that in. Stir it up. Give it some nice vibrant color. And now this time, I'm actually going to add all the rice in too. Let that get in there. And let the rice get coated in the oil. Give it some nice flavor. Get all stirred up. And we're gonna put our stove down a little bit when we put the chicken on, just because we didn't want to burn it. But now we've got a few more things in there. We can turn it up again, and we're gonna add our tomatoes in as well. Tomatoes, it's about 2 small onions or 2 small tomatoes. 1 large tomato will do. Just give it. We'll get that going here. Give it a bit of a stir. They're on high in the back here. And we're almost got our chicken and our rice and our tomatoes. Let's get our tomatoes cooked down a little bit. As you can see, the rice is sticking a little bit to the pan. That's not a problem at all. We're actually going to deglaze the pan with a little bit of white wine here. So you can use as much white wine as you want. A Riesling from Alsace region in France. I use maybe about a 1/3 of a cup. I don't want to use too much because I want to drink most of it. We're just trying to add a little bit of the flavor and deglaze the pan here. So it should boil right away if your pan's hot enough. And that just starts to get absorbed. Now we start the process of cooking the risotto. So once that gets in there, we're going to add in some stock here in a second. We've got our stock pot right here. We're going to add in. When you start, you can add a little bit more stock just to get things going here. Give your wine a second to cook down a little bit, cook off some of that alcohol. You don't want to taste the alcohol when you're cooking, you just want to taste the flavor from the wine. Again, if you don't want to use the wine even, not a big deal. So we've got our rice, we've got our chicken, our tomatoes, our paprika in there, and now we're just going to let that cook. Let it get up to a bit of a pretty good simmer, and then we're going to turn it down to about a medium heat. And then we're going to continue stirring for about, it's going to take probably about 10-15 minutes. Once the liquid starts to reduce and once you start seeing the rice and everything starts to stick a little bit on the bottom, that's time to add more stock. We've got 4 cups of stock on the back there. We've got about a cup, a little more than a cup of rice. Be prepared at the end, you know, if it's still a little dante and you're running out of stock, be prepared to put a little bit more in. Okay, our liquid's starting to get a little thicker here. So as you can see, there's not a lot of liquid left in there. And the edges, the rice is starting to stick a little bit to the pan. If it's sticking too much, just turn the heat down a little bit. We might be simmering a little much here, so I'm just going to adjust the heat. And at this point, we're going to add a little bit more stock. And we're going to keep on stirring. Okay, so our risotto's almost done here. How do you know when it's done? You really got to taste it. Take a little bit, just taste the edge. Make sure you don't burn your tongue. It'll start to look fluffy. The risotto will grow in size, but you want it to have a little bit of bite. You don't want it to be completely soft. And it'll also start cooking a little bit more. If you cook it too much, it's going to turn to mush at the end. So what we're going to do at this point is we're actually going to take our onion and garlic mixture here, run it through a sieve, and let that drain off so we can add it into our mixture here. Set that aside for a second, let that drain off. At this point we're going to hit the risotto with a little parsley. You can do about a 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley would be great. We're going to add in our prosciutto. We don't want to add in our prosciutto too early because we don't want it to cook. We're going to actually turn the heat down to, we're going to turn the heat right off here. I've got about, I'd say about 50-75 grams of prosciutto. For those of you working in pounds, there's about 450 grams in a pound. So we're working with not a large amount here. Just going to stir that in. I had just broken the prosciutto up into small pieces. Take our mushrooms, hit those now. Just going to grab an oven mitt here. Add those in. Get that stirred up. And add in our onions and garlic mixture here. Add that right on. Give it a beautiful little flavor there. Nice glisten. Remember, we're eating risotto tonight, so we're going all out. It's a party meal. And then, when you're just about done, just hit it up with about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan. You don't want to do this when the oven's when it's on the oven too hot, or else it's going to start sticking to the bottom at this point. Just nice, get it all, make it all creamy, and get it all ready to go. Next thing, to the plate. Okay, there you have it. Risotto with chicken, mushrooms, pancetta. It's awesome. You're going to love it. Enjoy it. And for the full recipe and more great ideas, visit us at ourkitchenisland.com. Thanks.